Welcome back to Trade You for the Fruit Punch. We're going to stop announcing the episodes because we're past the point of
Because we don't give a
justifying
shit
and
anymore.
yeah, we don't care about it. I'm tired of
I
taking
never
ownership and
understood
track
it.
of that. I liked it though. I'm gonna so when I post them on Spotify, I'll put it on there. But otherwise, we're not going to mention it. But
I
it
think
is
you should
season
just
one, episode
cut it
9.
cold turkey.
So we're going to start off with some. We're a sports pod, right? But we're also humans. This Kyrie situation is kind of all kinds of fucked up, and I'm going to talk about it. Ari's not going to talk about it a lot.
He told
If
me, he prefaced this episode with, "You're not allowed to talk during this section because I
Yeah,
don't want you to implicate yourself."
right. So um, if you don't want to hear it, fast forward to like the 5 or 6 minute mark when you hear me
We
say the Houston
cannot say
Astros are
that for
cheaters.
certainty, just so
No, we
everyone's
can't.
aware.
But I was gonna say, fast forward to when I say the Houston Astros are cheaters, but you got to be careful because I'm gonna say it like every 3 minutes in this podcast because the Houston Astros are still cheaters. Um, but in terms of Kyrie, so I'm gonna be reading some of this, right? Because I don't want to get too emotional. I don't want to misspeak. These are all my words. Nobody wrote them for me. Nobody edited them for me. I thought them. I wrote them. I'm going to deliver them, right? So here we go. Um, this fucking asshole thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and most enlightened guy in the room when he's actually the dumbest motherfucker, closed minded person I've ever seen. And so, fuck him and fuck Kyrie. And him and Kyrie are the same person. But anyway, so what like, they're talking about this 6 step program. What the fuck is a 6 step rehabilitation program? This isn't
They said all
alcoholism.
the things that he needs to achieve. They
This
did
isn't
actually.
alcoholism. You can't cure like I'm going to get into it, but you can't cure somebody of anti-Semitism.
I
I
saw a
actually
GM that said they thought he'd never play again today.
so he's stubborn as shit and that may happen. That's fine. I don't need him doing anything, right? So apologizing in person, reading from a written statement, not answering questions or answering them, like I don't need that. $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes, like it's fine. It's great. Like Anti-Defamation League doesn't want his money for a reason. But if he wants to donate $500,000, like it's fine. But this whole like sensitivity and anti-Semitic training that he's going to be doing, like what the fuck does that even mean? Like it's not shock therapy for mental health, right? Which is I think really fucked up by the way anyway. So he meets with Jewish leaders, they parade him around like a Holocaust museum. He looks around, he goes, "Oh my God, that's horrible." He's in agreement that killing 6 million Jews was terrible. And all of a sudden, he's rehabilitated, right? All of a sudden, he loves the Jews. Like, how fucking stupid do the Nets think we are? Right? Maybe we are that fucking stupid. I don't know. But I think this whole 6 step rehabilitation program is just an absolute joke. Um, and then meeting with the team owner at the end, like that's the last of the 6 steps to get his sign of approval. Like what? Who the fuck is the Nets owner to give his sign of approval? It's the Maytag guarantee. He's got 35 million reasons to apologize, to be cured of anti-Semitism. He's dumb enough not to go through with it because he was dumb enough not to get vaccinated and not get paid for the home games that he missed. He got paid for the road games that he missed because that was a Nets decision, not because he wasn't eligible, right? And so I'd rather I don't know. I'd rather know where you stand, and I know where Kyrie stands, and he's an anti-Semite. And nothing that he does over the next 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years is going to cure him of that. He's just an anti Semite, and we need to accept that. We need to acknowledge it, and we need to be fucking fine with it, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with him being a fucking anti Semite, but I'm just tired of fucking Kyrie Irving. And I think at this point, like, it is what it is. He's going to do what he does. He's going to continue to think what he thinks because, again, he's the smartest fucking guy in the room. We're actually the dumbest guy in the room. So Those are my takes on
I
Kyrie. I think
actually
we're done
do
with
have.
him.
I know. Wait. I do have some things to say.
Oh boy.
Um, First of all, I really hope this is the end of Kyrie in the league. It really should be. Like, extremely clear. It really should be. But also, Myers Leonard said a slur about Jewish people on a live stream and has not been seen in the league since. He was cut. He hasn't been seen in the league since. And oh, by the way, I think he spent a year in an Orthodox Jewish community learning the errors of his ways. Like, if you're going to do something, that's what it is. And he did that, by the way, not expecting, like, I'm going to get an NBA contract after this, because he hasn't. He was never a good NBA player. Like, this was literally
Well,
just, I felt
that's
bad about
exactly
what I
it.
did.
That's exactly it, though. He
That's
wasn't
why
a good
Kyrie will
NBA
be
player.
back
Right.
in this league.
Um,
Apparently, that just absolves him of all blame. The Nets organization sounds like the beginning of a bad joke. An alleged sex pest, an anti Semite, and two pussy bitches walk into a bar. What's the punchline?
we're the Nets.
No, I
What's
want like actually funny punchline.
Oh, I
I'm
don't.
I'm actually asking, like, someone needs to come up with a punchline
No.
to this joke because it would be all time.
We'll leave that to people who are funnier than us. I'm sure plenty will be said about it. Uh, I'm sure. Look, I'm sure. I'm not sure of anything, but maybe even a Dave Chappelle will take this one on and go at it, but maybe not. Um, so we've
Now, for
now
our
gotten
listeners who are coming back, the Astros
right.
are cheaters.
The Astros are cheaters, and guess what? They're still cheaters. So we had an absolutely horrible weekend. So
Yeah.
Eagles won on Thursday, which was great, and it's actually very fitting that they played on Thursday and not Sunday, so that we could put all the shit in the one weekend and just stew in it.
That
And
Eagles game
so
was still a little miserable, though. I didn't like it.
I, you know,
Like, everything felt off the whole game.
well, but we
Maybe
won,
it was
and
because I
that's what
was watching
happened.
the Phillies at the same time.
That's probably what happened. Um, but we won, and they don't all have to be pretty. You just have to like eke them out sometimes, and that's what this one was. I actually got to see the first quarter here in England. They had it on. Sky Sports has a lot of NFL games on, and they had it on. I watched the first quarter. Um, I couldn't stay up for the rest of it. It was just too much for me. But I saw highlights, obviously, and like I said, we won. That's all. That's
I
all that
have
matters.
I have one real, like, problem that I think will be consistent. With Jordan Davis out, they really struggled to stop the run. And that was a common thing even when Jordan Davis was in games. Like, they just don't have the system for it. I don't know why, but constant lapses and allow big runs. So
And that's not
that is a
good.
worry.
That's not good in the NFC East either, right? Because you've got some decent running backs in the NFC East. Um, so look, Eagles won Thursday. Fast forward to this weekend, and the Phillies. Not so. Once we lost Game 5, you and I talked about
It
this.
was over. Yeah.
It was even though we didn't want to believe it, and we held out hope, and we were somewhat more optimistic
Did
than
we?
Philadelphia fans
I
usually
don't think
are.
I did.
No, I think we were more optimistic than Philadelphia fans normally are. I was more optimistic. I said, you know what, they could win two, but I knew they weren't going to win two. Now, people will say, like, look, I thank the Philly. It was a fun run. It was great to watch. It
Oh, it was
was great to
amazing.
be there. But that doesn't make it okay that we lost the fucking World Series. And some people are saying, no, it's fine. No, it's not fucking fine. We lost to the
Well,
Astros, a bunch of cheaters.
I have, if they can make like some big offseason and do some things that really need to be done, they could go back and win it next year. It's likely, but that's a possibility. In which case, this was good experience.
So I
If
believe in
you don't make the
experience.
playoffs or if you lose in the wild card round next year, it's like you couldn't lose.
I believe in experience, and we've talked about this before. I believe in experience in the NBA. I believe that a team, generally speaking, has to go through stages in the playoffs over a 2 to 4 year period before they can win. I do not believe in that in Major League Baseball. I think teams win about the number of games they're supposed to, and then the playoffs are just luck. And the luck did not fall in our favor in this series because the Houston Astros are cheaters, and they're still cheaters, and they'll
I
always be
really
cheaters.
didn't
Now,
like I really didn't like what the media and like guys on the broadcast were doing the entire series of like it's been so long and they've really shaped this organization and like we should be celebrating this Houston Astros team. No, we fucking shouldn't. Like their
well,
last title has an asterisk next to it because they fucking cheated. Like,
the
how is this like a
so
feel good
they well,
story?
the feel good part is Dusty Baker, right? Now, a great dude, apparently, from everything I've read.
Just
But
don't
here's my
care.
take. But here's my take on Dusty Baker, right? 25 years as a manager, 3,900 games. He's the Doc Rivers of Major League Baseball. Like
Yes, excellent
he
take.
he he he's won one now, but he's not a great manager because if he was a great
Carried.
manager, he would have won more. And so, nice guy, good for him, but not at the fucking expense of my Phillies.
We might
And
get
guess what?
slated for this one, but I like it.
The Houston Astros
Our
are still
fucking
cheaters.
cheaters.
And so we take our Philadelphia Phillies loss on
Are
Saturday.
we gonna? I mean, like, I just like first of all, it was an amazing season. Like that, this last month has been one I've had as a fan of any sport ever. Period.
But this weekend was like the
Period. Like
worst
this
weekend of
weekend
being a
was the worst
Philadelphia
weekend of my
fan
life. But that be
of your
like,
life. Wow. Man,
shh, shh,
oh
shh.
boy.
So we need to like I said it at the beginning, and I was kind of proven wrong. But as Spike Eskin said on this weekend's or this week's episode of the Ricky, if you let it long enough and don't admit defeat, it will be proven right. And my Reese Hoskins take is absolutely correct. He needs to be gone. He
So he,
needs to be gone.
he will not be gone. The reason why
I've
we
heard
lost,
he might be.
so I'll
There is
believe
a
it when I see it.
possibility that he might be.
And so who plays first? You put Castellanos at first, and then you put
It's the
Bryce
off
back in the
season.
outfield? No, I understand, but we don't have as much money as we've spent. I don't think we've got a blank checkbook. We signed Schwarber and Castellanos last summer.
It sounds like they want to
Last
make
spring
big
break.
moves. Like I'm hearing
Okay.
big shortstop rumors around like Trea Turner, guys like that. Possibly that would mean Segura leaves and I think he's got a decently large contract. Stop moves to second. You find the first baseman, and I think that team is competitive.
I think we'll see what happens. I mean, the Phillies are not against spending money. They spent a ton of money last offseason. They spent a ton of money on Bryce Harper.
If
So
there's
they're not
one thing
against it.
Dave
I think,
Dombrowski does, it's spend fucking money.
yeah, he spends other people's money, but that's okay. I think so. One of the things I think the world should thank Philadelphia for is because the Phillies lost, Philadelphia single-handedly had a say in avoiding a recession. And although some might argue that we're already in a recession, um, I would like the
Some being
proper credit,
yourself.
some being myself, but I would like the proper credit to Philadelphia for avoiding the recession. So you're welcome, world.
You're
It's our
welcome, Weld.
fucking It's thanks to us losing the World Series and the
So
fact that
every single city in the US should also be thanking us because we have the unfortunate we're the first ever city to lose two major titles
in
in
one
a
day,
day.
in a day. So it depends. What time did the Phillies game end? Is it after midnight?
That game didn't end after midnight.
It did not. Okay, so it was official that we did lose two championships in one city, and that brings us to the Philadelphia Union.
The
And
Union will be back next year. I want to make that clear.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this was the perfect storm. Jim Curtin, who's the Union manager, he's actually a very very good manager. The problem is our owners might be the cheapest people alive, and
That
as
is,
soon
yeah.
as a player gets halfway decent, they sell that player, and they replace that player with someone who may or may not be as good. And I think this year we got lucky because the guys we replaced were replaced with people who were that good,
Who did
and
we
in some cases
replace?
better. So what is it?
The old place were the strikers,
Right.
and both of those we spent money on.
So we wasn't well, I
They
don't
were
think we spent
decently
a lot of money.
large NBA deals. NBA, MLB. What am I saying? MLS
I don't
deals.
know what you're saying. Um, I'm not so sure. If you look at we'd have to go back. And what we did not do in preparation for this pod was we did not look back on exactly what we paid for our strikers. But I will tell you, I do not think we spent a lot of money. And I think
I
net
don't think
net,
you pay enough attention to this team because I actually think you're totally wrong. This team's scouting department system has proved to be one of, if not the best in MLS.
but that's
They
cheap.
consistent. No, but that's like I like Brighton. What do you think Brighton do? Go out, they find bargains. Like that's called good scouting. That's how you build an infrastructure even without a lot of money. Like you don't have to spend, and especially in the MLS, like this team isn't going to change much. The only player I think is a worry of leaving is Kai Wagner, and we've been saying that for what 3 years now. Nothing's ever materialized. So I wouldn't even be sure that he's going to leave. I think you pad out this bench because God and the midfield a little bit, and like we're good to go.
So I think Gazdag probably leaves, and I know you're not a big fan. And
I
he actually set the
actually
tone.
am now. He's
You are
inevitable. He is
interesting
inevitable.
because Gazdag set the tone for likely the worst penalty shootout
Oh God.
of all time.
So
But
let's get into the game a
we're
little
jump.
bit.
Yeah, let's get in
It
the game.
is. I. They were saying this. Like Stu Holden was saying this. This is the greatest MLS game of all time. Now it's absolutely atrocious as Philadelphia Union fans because wow, what a horror show. But it is the greatest MLS game of all time. You had what like a 124th minute winner, and then you had a 120 what ninth minute
Eighth.
equalizer from
So,
a man quite well.
man, Gareth Bale, you broke my heart. He broke. If it ever was, you knew it was going to be him. You just
Oh,
kind of knew.
100%.
He hasn't played a minute in the playoffs. He's been dog shit since he got there. And
He's
he
been injured.
comes in and he didn't do anything for 30 minutes. And was it his first touch at the 30th minute? Like, it may as well
Probably
have
not,
been.
but it felt like
And so all we needed to do, and we were behind essentially all game, and
we were the
we were
better
down
team
1
though.
0. We were the
Like
better team, but we were down 1 0.
we were pretty incredible for most game.
Well, but that's and by the way, that's the way we play. We play this counterattacking low possession game,
They actually
but we
had
play.
most of the possession.
It didn't look
They had
that
majority of the
way.
possession.
Okay. Um, I think we played from behind twice. We came back twice, right? The red card to their goalie and the injury. Um, I mean, Corey Burke actually did something. That guy in
He's
this
been
playoffs has
he's
been great.
been amazing this whole season. It's
He
funny because
he
we
normally
hated him.
needs
He was so
well,
bad.
he normally needs 27 chances to score a goal. And it's got to be like a tap in with an empty net. Like it's got to be really easy. And he
Not this
makes
year.
everything so hard. But this year he's been decent. He comes in, he wins the penalty. Well, he wins a free kick, which of course we do nothing with. Um, and eventually in the 124th minute, they brought in our ex goalie, our ex understudy, and you kind of knew he was not going to be ready to play, and we scored on him. And I felt like the right
But you
that was the
also knew
right
he was like if it
ending.
went to a shootout, you
Well,
knew it was gonna only end it one way.
so I want to I have a confession to make. I was watching the game in the hotel room, and in like the 126th or 127th minute, I allowed myself to dream that we had won the MLS
You
Cup.
did it. You did it.
I I'm telling you,
It's
you didn't know
your
this.
fault.
It I allowed myself to dream. And I was thinking about the Union sweatshirt I was going to wear to the Tottenham game the next day. I was
Oh,
thinking about it. Yeah. I have a really nice Lapstone and Hammer, not
ex not sponsor.
ex not
You're
sponsor of the pod.
horrible.
And I was thinking about the Union sweatshirt I was going to wear to the game. And then I thought to myself, they just need to defend for 2 minutes. They just need to defend for 2 minutes. They can do this. They have the best defense in the league. They can do this. They just need to defend for 2 minutes. And they didn't defend for 2 minutes.
I hate you.
And I
What's
feel
wrong
like
with you?
the take on pod number 9, because we all remember, like I remember the numbers, is that Dusty Baker is the Doc Rivers of the MLB, and that I am single handedly the reason why the Union did not win. And I'm going to take that to my grave. I mean, I'm going to live with that shame for the rest of my life because I allowed myself to dream. I was thinking about the sweatshirt I was going to buy, the hoodie, right? Philadelphia Union 2022 MLS Cup champions. Now, unfortunately, someone in Uganda is going to be wearing that fucking sweatshirt because they made them, right?
You made them.
Fanatics made them. I hate Fanatics, by the way. I am not doing a fake advertisement for Fanatics, but they made those sweatshirts, those hoodies, and somebody in like, Nigeria, Costa Rica, I don't know, you name Haiti, you name a third world country where they ship the clothes off to, and they're wearing a fucking Union 2022 MLS Cup champion sweatshirt. And that
Right
was going to be my
alongside their
sweatshirt
Phillies World Series champion sweatshirt.
alongside their Philadelphia Phillies World Series. But I never dreamed about wearing that sweatshirt. But I was dreaming about the MLS sweatshirt. And shame on me because I think I led to the Gareth. Now we get into the Gareth Bale goal, and of course it was going to be him. And I can't hate him because he's
I can. I'm done. Did you
no.
that since we sold Gareth Bale, he's had one trophyless season? Do you single guess at which season that was?
The season he was loaned to us.
The season he was loaned back to us.
That's the best stat I've
It's
ever heard.
incredible. It's so
The
incredible.
season he was now technically he didn't have to win MLS Cup though, right? To qualify for a trophy this season because he won one at Real Madrid. They won the Champions League and
Did
they
he play
won
enough to
La Liga.
qualify for that?
I believe he. I thought he played last year, didn't he, for them a little bit or no?
And also, technically, we're in a new season.
I mean, yeah, I knew it
So
was
if
going
they
to be
hadn't
him.
won it, that would have been
And
like,
then as soon as we got to the penalty kick, penalty shootout, I thought we had a chance. Like I went in
no.
thinking we're
Once it got to the
35% to
penalty
win.
shootout,
No, but when they missed the first one, and if Gazdag had made his first, it's a totally different world. But when Gazdag skied it by slipping, game over. I knew we were going to lose. And if you ask your mother, I literally called where all 7 penalties were going to
I
go.
did too in my dorm room. I was
Every
sitting here and I
single
used
one
the
of them.
tips that you taught me, and I was like,
The more,
"Yep,
by the way, and I'm going to tell the pod my tips. The more narrow you are in your run up, the more likely you're going to go opposite end. Like you're going to open up your foot. So if you're a right hander, the more narrow you go towards the run up, you're going to kick it to the right hand side. The wider you go and you create this angle, you're going to kick into the left hand side. Now, for righties, it's actually easier to kick to the left hand side, but you can tell by the run up. And all 7 of these morons were so obvious about which way they were going. And it actually felt like McCarthy, who was the LAFC keeper, like knew exactly where these guys were going. He was, I mean, I don't know. I want to call him and ask him what numbers we should bet for the lottery for Mega Millions because he knew exactly. Well, I knew where everyone was going to go too, but he had the pressure on him, and I can't be mad at him either.
I
Like
can't be
he's a
mad at him.
local kid.
I'm mad at Bale, but I can't be mad at him."
I can't be mad at
I,
Bale
you
or
know who
him.
I can be mad at though?
Who? I don't know.
Fucking Martinez had the worst performance of his entire life. Have never seen anyone shit the bed more royally than Jose Martinez did in this game. He couldn't place a pass. He was rash and full in his tackles and lost his men. It was a then Curtin putting him on the second penalty was a massive mistake.
So
Just like
what I'll
dumbest thing
tell
he could
you
have done.
is Martinez, I think, in big games does not play as well. I've seen it a few times where he's just not as accurate. He's not as controlling. When there's nothing on the line, he is a fantastic player. When there's everything on the line, he is mediocre at best.
That
And that's what we
entire
saw.
midfield was just not good. Like without Bedoya in there, Flock is a Flock is good alongside Bedoya, but like he doesn't really without him. And then I love young players. I love thinking about the potential of what they could be. McGlynn is only 19, but that kid sucks. I cannot name you a single thing that he does well. Like
So
not a single goddamn thing.
I think we need to tell our pod listeners about how much both you and I hated Bedoya until last year's
No, 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 no,
playoffs.
no, 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 no. You are not gonna pin this on me. You are not going to put
Oh,
this on
you
me.
were
I
always a big
loved
Bedoya
him.
fan. Yeah.
Yes. Are you kidding
Bedoya,
me? The
we
runs
would
that he
make
would
fun of
make.
how chubby he was
No.
and how out of shape he
Yeah, I
was.
do that. I did that with Ilsinho was my favorite
Well,
player
but
for years.
I know, but that's different. Elsenio, like there was no
No,
expectation that he'd be in
I
shape.
adored Bedoya and Ilsinho. Those were my
So
guys.
I loved when we signed Bedoya. And then he just got fat and out of shape, and I didn't like him. And then he like embraced it during last year's playoffs. And while he was still a little chubby and a little bit out of shape, like he figured out how to play the game while not having to run as much
He
and
always did that.
conserve it.
And he always runs, by the way. That is ridiculous.
No. He
This guy doesn't know ball. No
whatever.
ball. No
Yeah.
ball knowledge.
No, that's not true. But I will say this year Bedoya was outstanding, and we did miss him in the final. Um, it
Yeah.
was just
Bring
so
in some
unfortunate. Like,
midfield players, and we will be back next year. I mean,
so
I'm sure after last year wouldn't make it back.
and I still don't think they'll make it back. I think Curtin is an outstanding coach. He gets the most out of these guys. I agree with you. I think the youth system is fantastic. Um, I think player development is really good, but I just think this ownership group is sour. And they're the kinds of guys that like we can't have nice things. And so when we have nice things, call it a Gazdag, they're going to sell them.
We'll
There's
see.
no like,
I mean, who major have they sold recently?
well, they sold Aronson, right? But they also didn't.
Yeah, but that was like they also kept him for as long as they possibly could, and he was
No, I
clearly
understand.
bigger than the club. Same with like McKenzie. Do you remember
Yeah, but
McKenzie?
of course I remember McKenzie, but there were players, other players, and it's interesting. I can't remember what was um, Zaza Pachulia. What was him? What was remember him? It wasn't Zaza Pachulia. He played for the Golden State Warriors.
I was about to ask, like, are we switching sports?
No, no, but there was
Fafa
the guy
Pico.
Fafa Pico. There you go.
How did you get to Zaza Pachulia?
But you knew exactly who I was talking about.
I did because I know how you your brain goes two syllables that sound the same.
Right. And the first and the last name that starts with a B, right?
The last
Fa-
names don't sound similar at all though. But like
oh,
the
it's
second I heard
close.
the first name, I was like, two syllables that sound the same.
You're welcome. So Fafa Pico, we got rid of Sapong. Um,
Sapong made sense.
we could claim that all of them make sense.
Right? Like by your logic, selling Shabilko was a bad move, and we both know that that was an outstanding
Well, but
move
here's the thing.
because shit. If there's one union agenda I will always have, it is King Shabilko. He's so
Shabilko,
bad.
Shabilko. Um,
Shabilko.
we couldn't even pronounce his last name, and he couldn't even pronounce his own last name.
He can't.
Um, no, but here's as an ownership group, they thought he was a good player. He had just played two decent seasons, even though he was dog shit, and they sold him for a lot more than they otherwise could have gotten. And
That was a
Carranza,
that
but
was a general manager decision though. Like you're putting too much on the ownership group. It's got like other than funds, it's got literally nothing to do with them.
it has
They have
everything
no
to do with it.
input in the actual
But it's the
decisions being
funds.
made.
I understand, but it's the numbers, and they say we need 3 million back, or we need to save 1 million here, or we need to
And
do this, or we need to do
guess
that.
what? Like the general manager then who looked at it and went, "We can make that off this guy. He sucks anyway."
I understand. But if
And
you're a
that's what
team
they
that's
do. They
building,
know when to like cut losses, when to sell at high value for players who really shouldn't have that high value. Like
I think you're
they're a
giving.
well-run club. The ownership group might not be good, but they are an extremely well-run club. You don't give them enough credit at all because they've proven
I
time and time
think
again that they're just on a steady upward trajectory.
so. I think that you don't give the ownership group enough, and we won't call it credit, right? But credit for being the cheap fucking assholes that they are.
Listen, give me
And
3 more years and I'll be extremely good and I will. But like they'll win an MLS Cup in that time.
look, there's a reason why the Philadelphia Union play in fucking Chester. And it's because this ownership group was too cheap to
Obviously.
buy land elsewhere. And guess what? They had this in their portfolio because they're real estate developers, and they decided to build a stadium in fucking Chester. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry
because
to
it was
people
free
who live in
land.
Chester. And by the way, when you overlook the Delaware River from the stadium or from that area, it's beautiful. But I thought they were gonna build a multi-purpose like site with a hotel and a shopping center. And guess what they built? They built a stadium. They didn't even pave the fucking parking lots. Those parking lots when it
It is a
rains are a
shithole.
fucking disaster. They are gravel and dirt and shit. Literal
Okay, but
shit.
again, like, and this is the last point we're gonna make because no one cares about the union this much except
Nobody
for
cares
us.
about the
Actually, my buddy Lars does.
right.
He honorary Philadelphian.
Okay.
Um,
Well, shout out also to the Webner family. They care about the union probably more than we do.
doubt
Okay.
it.
So,
Did
no, they
they
do care
cry
about the union more.
after the final? I did.
You cried? You
I
fucking
cried
loser.
twice.
Did
It
you
was a bad
really?
day. It was a really bad day.
I say you fucking loser, but I remember when the 93 Phillies lost to the Toronto Blue Jays. By the way, fuck the Blue Jays. I hate them too.
Fuck
I
Toronto.
cried after I cried after that loss. That one hurt me. I was in London and that one hurt me a lot. Did I tell you by the way I went to
This
visit
like
my old dorm? Did we talk about that on the pod? Oh yeah, I visited my old dorm.
no. Do
It
we
no well, you should care because it makes your prison cell look like the Ritz-Carlton like Palm Springs is how nice it is. Like how nice your dorm is compared to the fucking disaster that I lived in. Passfield Hall is literally like one square block. It I think it has bars on the windows. I'm fairly certain it has bars on the windows. And it's not to prevent students
it's a
from
literal
jumping
bro?
out and killing themselves. It's actually just because it was a former prison turned into a dorm, right? And so we visited, we have a picture of me in front. Now, once your sister comes back from her semester abroad, um, and she can do some editing while we talk about certain things. Maybe she could throw up a picture of me in front of Passfield
She
Hall like that.
won't.
She won't, but
She
maybe she could.
won't.
But
If she wanted to.
we visited my old school, my old stomping grounds. We've and by the way, apparently, I just learned this today. The Leeds chief executive, I forget his name, but I can look it up right now, was apparently at the London School of Economics when I was, and was actually one of the top strikers on. Now there it's more like intramural sports, like you play other colleges but there's no budget, there's no NCAA. He was on the first
It's
team.
club.
It's club. I mean, it's essentially club sports, not intramurals. You're right, club sports. And he was the first team striker on the LSC club team when I was there. Uh, I I wouldn't have known that if my roommate hadn't told me that today. Um, but a nice little tidbit of my time in London. I believe like one of my classmates was an MP. There's some pretty famous people out of my class, even though I don't know any of them. Um, and so that brings us to: are we done with the union? Like everyone's done with the union. We're on the
We
Tottenham,
went
right?
0 for 4 this weekend. The Sixers
Yeah.
lost on Friday night. But the city of Philadelphia, I give them credit, has an incredibly short memory because have you seen what they all did yesterday?
No. What did they do?
A man ate his 40th consecutive whole rotisserie chicken on the pier, like in an abandoned pier, and way more people than gone went and like watched him eat a whole rotisserie chicken and
So
cheered him on.
is that really a big deal eating one whole rotisserie chicken? They're delicious. And
So the whole
40
thing is that
straight
he
days?
hates them, and you can see the pain on his face the entire time.
So tonight we went. Your mother and I went to a restaurant tonight,
Oh, we
and we
ate a
ordered.
whole rotisserie chicken by
No, we
ourselves
did
as well,
not. They
and
don't
we
have
are
the
not
whole
being
rotisserie
celebrated
chicken.
like he is.
No, they don't have that. They actually have a whole
You
rotisserie
can't make
chicken.
fun of me.
Yeah, I can. I can. I just did it. So they do have whole rotisserie chickens at Harrods, and they're 20 pounds, which is insane because the whole rotisserie chicken at Costco is $4. It's their lost leader. It's amazing, and it's so delicious. No, we ate what's called a Jerusalem mixed grill. and it is a combination of chicken thighs, chicken livers, and chicken hearts. And
Jeez.
the thighs were delicious. The hearts were actually fairly delicious. The livers, not so much. I needed to
I
load
can
those up
imagine.
with hummus and trina, or for Americans, hummus and tahini. I had to like just douse it because it was like, so when you eat that kind of stuff, it's metallic, and it was metallic. It was not delicious. I wasn't a fan of.
I'm just about what this has to do with the man who was
Well,
celebrated for eating
he
the
ate a
40th rotisserie
no
chicken.
rotisserie.
Like shit.
He didn't eat the livers. He ate like a
He
fucking
did it for the city. Let's leave it. Stop
40
dissing my man.
40 days of eating
I just
a
love
rotisserie
that
chicken.
everyone showed up to an pier.
It's not like this asshole ate like offal. Do you even know what offal is? It's like the intestines and all the other shit that
All
literally
right,
the shit
enough,
goes through.
enough.
He didn't eat that. He ate a fucking rotisserie chicken. Like, who cares? I'm not
So
impressed at all.
I can tell.
Fucking
Sixers for
rotisserie chicken.
literally 1 minute. I'm not letting you go on a rant. I'm just gonna talk for a minute.
Okay.
This team. So I only watched the first for the second half, so I didn't watch it. But
You went out. We're so proud of you. You're
I
all
went
grown
out.
up.
But it was so boring. It's so bad. Like every single second of watching this team is just physically painful. And now that the refocused attention onto this team, they're fucked. Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers are absolutely fucked unless Morey fires Doc. And that's
So
it.
can
And
I
we're
ask?
gonna move
Can,
on. I don't.
no, we're not. No, I have a question to ask. Right. First of all,
All
is
right.
is Harden's out for like a month?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, sounds great. Uh, what the fuck is wrong with Joel? Did he get COVID again? Like, what is wrong
No,
with this asshole?
I
And
think
why is
he's
he
the league
always fucking
leader.
injured?
Oh my god, enough with the fucking shitting on Joel. Enough.
I'm
He is the
tired of
league,
Joel.
but he is the league leader in early November non-COVID illnesses. Like all time.
Does he
I
get the
swear to
flu
God,
every
he's
year?
never had. I think so. He might not be getting his flu vaccine. That might be the problem.
Is he unvaccinated? Like, what is wrong with this guy? Why can't he stay on the fucking court? Like,
Listen,
it's
it's good.
pathetic.
Until Doc is fired, the only player who should play is Maxi.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. But anyhow, um, yeah, Sixers are as of this recording, the Sixers are 4-6. Um, it's not bad enough to
Sixers are
fire Doc.
atrocious. Really. Yes, it
It's
is.
not bad
Because
enough to fire Doc.
if you've been watching the games make it because it's stupid, right? Like Doc fully lost us the game because like he hadn't been playing Paul Reed, and everyone was saying like you're an idiot, play Paul Reed. Like it's clear that he's the best option because Montrez has been just horrendous. And so in like the final minutes of the game, he was like, "Fine, you want fucking Paul Reed? I'll play Paul Reed, but I'll play Paul Reed my way." And he played Reed with Montrez, and it went about as horribly as you would expect. Like it's been bad enough that firing Doc should be obvious conclusion for Morey. But I don't think Morey right now is smart enough to do that. He's been a moron in most of the time he's been here.
So, given how shitty our weekend was, given that the Sixers are essentially they're the only two game. Well, yeah, there's the Flyers, but like nobody really likes hockey. Um, until the playoffs, at least. Like playoff hockey's great, but until then, it's like whatever. Um,
You don't need to justify. No one likes hockey.
Everyone's gonna watch the Sixers now. And what are we watching? Like it's so horrible to watch. I would rather watch like the Pacers. I'll watch.
I've been enjoying
I'm
watching the Pacers.
I might even watch Toronto before I watch us right now. I
You
can't
know who's been
stand us.
fun? You should watch the Magic. Point guard Bull has been incredible. He's so much fun.
How's my boy though from Gonzaga?
He had a good game the other night, Suggs, but he's like he's shown nothing to like prove that he's a good player.
But Banchero's been pretty good.
He is one of two rookies averaging above 20.
Who's the other one?
Benedict Mathurin, which is why I've been enjoying watching the Pacers. Because
Yeah,
Halliburton and Mathurin have been fun.
I don't think Matherin's all that good.
You haven't watched a single minute of Benedict Mathurin. Who the fuck are you kidding?
As we've established in previous pods, I watched him play in the Pac-10 tournament, and I watched him play in the NCAA tournament, and that's enough for me. He's not that good. His shot's
Watched him play in
broken.
the NBA, and he
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't think so.
for the
Okay,
last
so
15 minutes, we
we've
will talk
covered
about
all of
Tom.
our sports. So I was at the game yesterday. I was sitting in section 519, row 9. So like there
I
were
actually
probably
want to
30
take
or
this one.
well,
I want to take this one.
no, but can I just say one thing?
Fine.
The only good part about the game yesterday, now they played fine, but really the only good part about the game was that I was able to buy a Coke Zero. Finally, Tottenham has run through all of its Pepsi inventory, and they're now on to Coke Zero. And my life has
Although
changed.
Coke Zero, we'll accept.
My life has changed significantly, and I thank Daniel Levy for making the switch. And I hope he calls the stadium the Coca-Cola Stadium and gives it to them for free, even because that would be fantastic. But
It's not
anyhow,
gonna be fun.
that's my take.
I kind of had fun watching this game, and like I knew we were gonna lose. It's the worst fixture every year is Liverpool, both home and away. It's such a shit show in terms of refereeing, and the refereeing was abysmal, and it's a shit show in terms of like individual mistakes. And I don't know what the fuck Eric Dyer is doing, but he had the funniest game I've ever. Where like first half, I was like, please don't let him touch the ball, and we saw why because he did a huge error that led to the second goal. But then the second half, I was like, should this guy be playing right wing of Emerson? Like, I honestly think he should be. I think he'd be fun. He created a big chance, scored a goal from a header. Like it was the funniest individual performance I've watched in a really long time.
So can I tell you, I sat in obviously a group of Tottenham fans. I don't think there were a lot of season ticket holders, but there were a few right behind me. There was a young gentleman who was probably in his mid-20s, he was basically commentating the entire game, right? To his buddy, but to all of us around him. And here were his takes. He hates Sessegnon.
Bad.
Hates Emerson.
Correct.
He thinks Emerson is the worst player on the pitch. He thinks he could do a better job than Conte, and they should pay him the
Agreed.
50 million.
Yes, sir.
He's not a huge Conte fan. He thought we should substitute in Doherty and Kulu 10 minutes prior to when they were substituted in, which I think we all agree on. That was a good take on their part. So if you looked at the back line, he thought Davis is useless. He wasn't a fan of Davis. I like Davis. I actually like the way they played in the second half, where they essentially had the back three of Dyer, Longley, and Davis. But then when they were attacking, they switched Dyer and Emerson and had Dyer banging up the right hand side. I thought that was brilliant. I really did enjoy. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
It was so fun.
It's So I'm starting to believe Kane has not played well,
No,
but I think part of it is Kane now needs good service,
Kulusevski. He need
and
like this
Kulusevski
team
is
in
the
order to
only
work requires
yes, like 100%. And he provides the service that Kane needs in order to score because Kane doing what he did against Arsenal when he went in the corner, then came up and dipped the shot into the top right corner from the left hand side, like he's not going to do that stuff anymore. He's been found out. He doesn't have the space to do that. But a Kulusevski like goal, that is going to be how he scores going forward. And there's nobody else on this team that can do that.
So
And
I
so
want to
we're
get
very
into
Kulusevski
January
reliant.
because, like, with the World Cup, we're essentially going into January soon. We've got one more game, which is against Nottingham
Leeds.
Forest.
Leeds. Well, we have two games. We have the Nottingham Forest FA Cup game this week, right? Tomorrow, Wednesday. And we've got the Leeds Premier League game on Saturday, which, by the way,
Yes,
your mother is going to. She and I will be attending
hallelujah.
that game together. She will see what the religion of Tottenham is like, and she will finally understand and love Tottenham like you and I do.
She'll hate it more than. Hang on. We love it differently, but that's besides the point. But my point still stands. We are essentially going into the January window.
Oh,
So, what we need, I mean, realistically, we don't need a right wing back. He needs to stop being stupid. But we need a right wing back because he's refusing. And I Spence out on loan because you're being an asshole. Um, that back line that played, none of those three center backs should realistically ever touch the pitch again. Like, I don't think any of them are good enough. Um,
but
that's
realistically, you're not going to buy three of
unlikely.
them.
That's unlikely.
Right. You're going to buy
So
one.
Davis and Longley are fine rotating left center back. You need to bring in a central center back. But actually, if it were up to me, like there's a kid at Atalanta who's 18 whose contract is expiring. So in January, I would throw a contract offer his way and hope that he accepts that. And then you've got a center back coming in summer who's already good enough and then you buy another one, and that's putting your back line in a way better position than it is. Well,
So
left wing
I
back,
heard
I've heard them say that they're gonna look at, but I think that's stupid. Like I do not understand looking at left wing back. You have a guy out on loan who's good enough to play. You've got a guy here who's good enough to play, and you've got Perisic who you wanted. Like, there's no point, but we'll do it because Paratici's an idiot and Conte's an idiot.
So
We
did you know, by the way,
need
paracetamol
okay.
is an ingredient of like the British version of like NyQuil? Did you know like it's actually an ingredient in it's the number one
You
ingredient.
thought I just came up with a word? Yeah, I knew
I
that.
thought you just came up with the word. I had no idea. I had never seen that
No,
before.
that's the
Yeah,
whole
I had never
point.
seen that
Is
before.
yeah.
Right. I had no idea.
Um,
But hold on, before we move on, I think I think Doherty plays much better when Kulu's in the game. And
everyone
I think
plays much better when Kulu's in the
well,
game.
no, but
That's
I
the thing.
understand. But it allows Kulu in the game plays so wide most of the time. It actually allows Doherty to cut inside a little bit more because he prefers to cut inside. Emerson, I don't even know what he prefers to do. I don't think he does anything well, so it really doesn't matter what he prefers to do, but he does prefer to stay wide. But with Kulusevski, it allows Doherty to come inside more, and the two of them play off one another really well. And Kulu will always hustle back on defense if he needs to. So, because the guy's in incredible shape. And so I think as Kulu gets better meaning healthier, right? I mean, he's already outstanding, but he'll improve also. But as he plays more, as he gets healthier and he's back in fitness, I think we'll see Doherty a little bit more as well. And I'm okay with that for the rest of the season.
Hang
I'm
on, but
actually okay
that
with that.
relies on Conte seeing what you see, and Conte has proved that he doesn't want to see anything other than Emerson.
And
Like,
nobody
for
understands it.
some reasons, like Conte's nudes are on Emerson's phone.
Oh yeah, no, I've said that all along.
It's the only explanation. Like,
No, I've said that all along.
but
Yeah.
so like you shouldn't need to bring in a right wing back. You should be fine with Spence and Doherty, but if you're gonna be an idiot, just bring someone in who you're actually gonna play. Like, for the love of God, and don't make it some shitty fucking Serie A asshole who's not actually good. Like, Paratici, I get it. You're one dimensional. You only know about one country. It's fine, but like at least pretend. Just look at our Twitters. Like, look at my likes. Look at the players that I've liked, and then go scout those guys, and you'll be like, huh, maybe I should look into this guy more.
Right.
Like, I
Okay.
promise you, I have eyes.
I
Unlike
will
you.
say I thought Basuma was outstanding yesterday.
It's about time you gave him his
Um,
flowers.
but part of it is because, so can I tell you a
Oh boy.
story?
Can we not tell
No.
stories
No, we have to
56
tell
minutes
stories.
in?
So obviously shopping is a little bit cheaper here than it is in the US for like some goods that are produced like European brands. And it's actually even cheaper in, let's say, Paris than it is here. Um, but so we walked into the Moncler store here on Bond Street, because Abba wanted like a little vest, like a nice little vest. And they didn't have it at the Paris store, so we had to go here. And we were helped by a young gentleman named, what was his name? No, what's his name?
We're so professional.
Francesco. Francesco. Francesco is an Italian French guy, born in Italy, lived in France. Francesco happens to also be roommates with none other than Yves Bissouma. Now, Francesco hasn't called me to be like best friends and to hang out at the Leeds game,
Shocker.
but there is a greater than 0% chance that I go into the Moncler store and I look for Francesco and I buy something just to strike up another
Just yeah.
conversation with Francesco so that he will then again choose not to look me up and hang out with me at the Leeds game. Now I do have your mother to go to the Leeds game with me, but like I was really hoping to hang out with Francesco and then party with Yves Bissouma afterwards. But
So
I don't
really,
think
what
that's
you're
going to happen.
telling me right now is that you thought Yves Bissouma was good, really only so that you can tell him, "Hey, great performance," when you hopefully meet him
No, I actually
after the
no.
leader with his
So you
roommate.
know me better than that. Well, part of it was no, he had an outstanding game. I really did think he played well. I think
Yes,
he
he was very
passed
good.
very well. I think he was not so there are times where he's a little bit negative, and I mean negative by the fact that he's tentative and he passes backwards a little bit as a safety blanket. And he didn't do that very much. And when he did it, he was right to do it. And so I thought he had an outstanding game. I thought Bentoncourt had an outstanding game. I forgot Hoybier was playing. Did he even
Same. I didn't see
play?
him. I literally didn't see him.
So Perisic had way too many chances as an attacker and should have scored. Kane
Oh
had
my
an
god.
okay game.
I
Uh,
mean, he scored, I guess, but like, did he do
does
anything
he do
outside of that?
anything ever? But now that he's got his buddy Kulu back, I hope he's going to be back. Um, and I do. Here's the problem with this season, with this Premier League season, is it's essentially two seasons, right? And I say that because you've got this month and a half break for the World Cup,
The World Cup's
and
not meant to be now. It is absolutely ridiculous.
well, that I mean, look, we can talk about FIFA and how corrupt they are or how corrupt they were in accepting a bid that when Qatar said they were going to air condition outdoor stadiums. Now, I don't know, like I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty sure that you can't You can't air condition an outdoor space. Like it's virtually impossible. And if you figured out a way to do it, like you'd have to have this thing hovering over the pit. Like I don't even know how they basically thought that they would come up with a new technology that hadn't yet been invented when they bid for the World Cup. So guess what? They actually cheated to get the World Cup. Shocker. Hot take. Not so hot take,
Yeah,
right?
they paid for
Um,
it. I mean,
they
they
paid
didn't
for it.
cheat in any like.
The only thing that I actually appreciate about this World Cup is that all the stadiums are within like 50 miles of one another. And so the travel,
And why slave labor?
they were, right. Of course they were. But, and
This is,
so they actually, there's a stadium that they're going to take apart and supposedly they're going to send it to a third world country and then build it, but only build the bottom half. I don't even know how this fucking works. They were supposed to
who
spend,
gives a shit? We're talking
who
about
gives a shit?
Tottenham. I don't care about this World Cup enough.
No,
Like I'm
I
so
care.
sick
We're gonna
of
have the
it.
World Cup
No,
episode.
it's it's fun and like, but having it in December is fucking stupid. It's so dumb. Any
But guess what?
country where you can't
When
have it in
you're
the
home,
summer shouldn't host it. It's really
well,
simple.
I don't think a country that can't handle the games from an infrastructure purpose standpoint with the current infrastructure they have should not
Yeah.
host an Olympics and shouldn't host a World Cup, period. Like it's you shouldn't have to build a stadium in the middle of like, you know, the Amazon jungle in Brazil that's never going to be used
Are
again,
we going
that's
back
being
to the
overridden.
Brazil thing? It's
Yes, it
not
should have
that
never.
deep, dude. It's
It's
not
deep.
that deep. No
It
one gives
is.
a
It's
shit.
stupid. It's so fucking dumb. I don't understand. Um,
Yeah, I just
but
we
here's
need
but here's the
we
thing. You're gonna come home on Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, and from Wednesday to Sunday, you and I are going to watch. How many days is that? That's 5 days times three. We're gonna
you
watch like
can do that quickly.
over under. No, I couldn't. Over under. Like we're gonna watch 12 games. You do
Well,
realize
you're
that, right?
not accounting for the fact that we do have to watch the Eagles at
Right.
one
That's what I counted
point
for.
during that. So that
Well,
takes away one. But other than that, we will literally watch one game during every available time slot. The
which
TV
is
will be running the entire week.
right. And when else could we have that? Thank you, Qatar, for
I
allowing
mean,
me to hang out with my son and watch
hang on.
14 fucking soccer
Abba,
games in a
are
5 day
we
period.
pretending like I wouldn't be coming home over the summer?
No, but you could have an internship. You could actually have a jobby job. Like you could have, right? Like
I'm going
here's
on
a
tour
time.
again.
You're going on tour, see? And here's a situation where we're going to, besides Wednesday when I have to work, but it'll be in the background as I'm working and
Of
watching.
course.
But otherwise, we're going to watch like fucking 14 games together. So we should be thanking the Qataris for cheating their
Our
way into
Qatari
winning,
overlords.
right? For cheating their way into a World Cup. And oh, by the way, speak about cheaters. The Astros, still cheaters.
Fucking cheaters.
Cheaters. And so, you know what we didn't do? We've got to do like as soon as we're done with the Sixers, we've got to do our Ben watch. And our
Ben
Ben
Watch.
watch,
Ben
he
Watch. He
played
was injured all
zero
week.
point
He
zero
played
games, averaged
0 minutes. Pussy
0.0
injury.
points.
He
He
had
averaged 0
his
points.
vagina was aching, so he didn't play. He averaged 0-0. But
So he
zero
can't even
turnovers, so that's
claim,
pretty good.
right. So he can't even claim to be part of Club Trillion. So Club Trillion, as I've explained to you before, was actually an Ohio State kid who was on the bench and he never played. But the goal was always to get in the box score a trillion, which is essentially a one with for the minutes and then all zeros. So have zero contribution. It was like the joke of his team. And so Ben almost like he didn't play the minute, but otherwise he was part of Club Trillion. I mean, not exactly. It's. I'm taking some liberties there, but he had zeros across the board.
This is wanted to talk about Club Trillion. It has
It's a
literally
the
nothing
kid was so
to do
he
with
had a
Ben
blog
Simmons.
and it was so fucking hysterical because he would talk about the handshake in the line and where people would say good game and he's like I didn't play. What do you mean good game? But it's such like a it's just it's what you say. Good game, good game. It's kind of like when someone says have a good flight and you're like you too and you're like oh no,
Oh
you're not
shit!
flying. I didn't mean that. And they look at you and they smile and they're like this fucking idiot. Um, so uh, we're we're I think we've exhausted every possible discussion we could
Hang on.
probably
Right wing
discuss.
back, center back, career and forward. Do it. And also USA quarterfinal. Book it. All right, now we can do our punch of the
And
week.
by the way, you're going to have a the blue jersey um, through one of your buddies, Yoni, who sells jerseys. His father is maybe he's the sponsor. What's Yoni's website? Well, I'm being serious. What's his
Shit!
website?
Why would you put me on the spot like this?
You don't remember?
I
All right.
don't remember.
Next week we're going to get the name and we're going to actually
Thanks.
do a full advertisement. He's getting free advertising. We're going to do a
He is getting
full
free
free advertisement. It's like pick a jersey, pick your jersey.
No,
You don't
stop,
get a choice in
Nick.
getting a jersey.
You have to stop.
But anyway, you're getting a blue jersey because as much as you're
Stop,
not allowed to
Emilio. You have to stop.
as long as much as you're not allowed to pick a jersey, you actually can if you know the owner of the you don't get to pick a
Already
jersey.
picked out a jersey from them.
Right. So
Uh,
they will be providing you with a blue USA jersey. So we thank them, even though we don't know what
anyone
the
on the
hell the name
back?
is. Surprise Me Sports. Your mother comes through. Is it
Yes.
surprisemesports.com, producer? Yes. Actually, that's the social media intern. Surprise me. So advertisement. Go to
SurpriseMeSports.com.
surprisemesports.com. They provide you with jerseys at a fraction of the retail suggested price, but you have to trust that they will get you a good jersey because you don't get to choose unless you know the owners, and then you get to choose the jersey.
Unless you're me.
Right.
Unless you're a big baller
Surprisemesports.com.
like me.
Big baller. That's what you are.
A big
So
baller.
you're going to go first. The punch of the week.
Caught in two minds here. Who do you want to? Because I think there are two obvious, and I think one of us should take each one. So I want to take the Nets, and I think you just take the city of Philadelphia. Right?
Okay. So you're
Is
taking the
that
Nets.
easy enough?
Yeah, go for it. You take the Nets. Go for it.
Right? Like the Nets are a joke of an organization. Always have been, always will be. Yeah, just like please shut down. A organization shuts down because you're a disgrace to the game of basketball. And
So
that's all I have to say.
so the punch of the week, obviously, then for me, is the city of Philadelphia, where we went 0 for 4 on the weekend and we lost 2 championships in one
Hang
day.
on, we went 0 for 3.
Oh,
Tottenham
we
is
did go 0
not
for
part
3.
of the
Yeah,
city of
no,
Philadelphia.
no. Well, you know what? But Tottenham is a very Philadelphia-like team,
That is
and
true.
one that has, in a lot of cases, people have um, made that comparison. That Tottenham is a very Philadelphia sports team,
I think that
town, etc. So
who
no, there's plenty. I've seen this before. I've seen like if you're a Phillies fan, you should be a well. Anyway,
I have too.
so Philadelphia. I'm sorry, it's my hometown, right? It's where I'm from. It's a city I love, but we did not have a good weekend. And as high as we were last week, especially when we were up 2-1 against the Astros, the cheating Astros, especially when
The cheating.
we had just beaten New York City FC to make it to MLS Cup final. Um, Fuck the Sixers right now. Who cares? But we were doing well across the board. Eagles are still undefeated, so that's
Eagles
great.
are still undefeated.
But it's been a rough week, a rough weekend, let's call it. And so I think we're all excited about sleeping that one off. And so with that, we thank you for listening, and we thank you, Ari, for being here. Thanks,
Good
Ari.
damn it!
God damn it. See you next time.